Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading, and you tuned in before, you knew that already. And you also know that my co-host, Chris Agelastos, is here with us as you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. And today's podcast is actually specifically about cash, the US dollar. And we've talked about the US dollar quite a bit over the last, goodness, probably a year and a half plus at this point. Specifically in the context that we are today as it pertains to BRICS. And certainly there's been a lot of things that have been happening ever since President Trump took office. Well, actually, even before President Trump took office, he was already going after the BRICS nations even before he was sworn in. And we kind of anticipated or talked about this, not that it makes us any smarter than anyone else, because I think everybody expected it. This is proving to be somewhat of a hot topic, and I think will continue to be. As you can see on your screen, or if you're listening rather than watching, the Trump threatens trade war, warns of 100% tariffs on BRICS. Now, 100% tariffs, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's like, I mean, for those of you maybe trying to put that in perspective, like 100% tariff be like if you went to the grocery store and you bought $100 worth of groceries, and by the time you checked out, that $100 worth of groceries cost you $200, taxes and things of that nature. So that's a lot. And in fact, I don't want to take all your thunder here, Chris, but it in the article actually says at a minimum 100%.
Right. Right. Could be more.
It could be more. And there's a lot of questions I have about this, and we've been following it, and it's not complicated. I mean, he wants to, strengthen the U.S. dollar. The fact of the matter is that the U.S. dollar is very vulnerable in a lot of ways and couldn't afford to be dethroned, if you will. But like when he's threatening to put this 100% tariff on BRICS. What I find, I don't know if there's an answer yet on this, but all the BRICS nations do their own individual trade and commerce. So what is he putting the tariff on them as it pertains to what they're doing as a BRICS nation, as a alliance, let's call it BRICS alliance, where in the event that they have their own currency, or like if China, which he's already done, is going to be hit with a tariff, is he putting an add-on tariff on top of that, or do we know at this point, Chris?
No, there's still, he doesn't have all of this down on paper yet, or in other words, making it all official. But what he has said multiple times is if nations that are involved in BRICS, if they choose to continue towards ditching the dollar, or as he put it, if they continue to play games with the dollar, that he will tariff at a minimum 100% of the goods that they export into the United States. So, and all of these countries have some products, and even though Canada, Mexico, and China are the biggest three importers into the U.S., all of these countries import items into the U.S. So he's saying, if you're going to play around with the dollar and BRICS, then I'm going to punish you on your products that you bring into the United States. And in this case, I got to say, I don't agree with 100% of the things he says, or maybe how he says them. But in this case, it really does seem like he's just trying to level the playing field.
Right.
And he takes this seriously. He knows that, in fact, he said, losing reserve currency status is in many ways equal to losing a war. So it is very important to him. He wants to make sure the scales are, if anything, tipped in our favor and not against us. And he points out that we're one of the most open economies in the world. I mean, we allow products from all over the world to stream into our country. We are consumers here in the U.S. We bring in a lot more than we send out. That's right, absolutely. We're professionals, and yet a lot of our trading partners keep their markets closed to our exports, and their doors aren't as open. So he signed in this executive order. It's called the Fair and Reciprocal Plan to address these, unfair trade practices and just promote balanced trade. And so he hasn't implemented all of these tariffs. Yes, he obviously implemented some, but nothing, near 100% yet. So I think he's letting them know he's willing to do it. He's already implemented some tariffs, so they see that he's real about it. It's not just an empty threat. And he's going to use this as leverage and bargaining power to try and level the playing field for us in the coming months here.
So would you say, am I correct in my understanding here that he's basically got two fights going on? Well, he's got a ton of fights going on, Trump does, but
Yeah.
Meaning he's basically, he has this fight going on with China and addressing them individually, but then he's also has this fight going on with BRICS where he's fighting, even though China's involved with that, he's fighting them collectively. Is that what's going on here?
Correct. And China and Russia are the two, big boys in BRICS, right? And so if he may not even have to really threaten all the other nations so much. I mean, if he continues to apply pressure to China and Russia, then that may be enough for BRICS to go his way. Because they're going to follow, China and Russia's lead. So yeah, it would be additional punishment on top of what he's already doling out to these individual nations.
Man, it's going to be interesting to see who holds their ground the best on this, because really, if, to a great extent, if the BRICS nations do as Trump is, let's say, kind of demanding they do, it kind of defeats the purpose of BRICS even existing. But yet, BRICS is growing because what they're doing is helping bolster their localized or domestic economy, and which is why they're doing it. And they that. So this is going to be like a whirlwind to watch this thing kind of unravel, if you will, over the next several months, I believe. So let's look at this next one here, North American trade wars. And this speaks to the same thing. I mean, it's all the tariffs and specifically here with North American, obviously, you're talking about Mexico and Canada, and of which, Mexico, we import a lot of their stuff. And, he right away started putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada. What I did find interesting in this article, and kind of cool, if you will, is like, Trump, he's aggressive. Let's just put it that way. He's aggressive, and he is. I don't think he's misguided in his efforts and what he wants to see. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get all of that, but there's reasons before it. It's not like he's being irrational, just generally speaking.
Right.
With that being said, though, what I did find cool in here is, and I'll let you talk about it as well here, Chris, but specifically with Mexico, how he suspended tariffs, a deadline that was set, but did so because they agreed to up their troops at the border in hopes of kind of limiting the flow or reducing the flow of fentanyl that's coming through, and obviously illegal immigration and things of that nature. So even though he's not getting what he wants per se, that's a huge win in my opinion. And
absolutely,
it's kind of cool to see that stuff.
Yeah, he's this is what the Biden administration should have been doing.
I agree.
And this was interesting. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew about it at the time, but it points out in this article how Trump had imposed tariffs on China in 2018, and most of those were left in place during the Biden administration. So it's a move that he used back then, and it was beneficial enough that even the Biden administration, who I think we can all agree hates Trump, left them in place because they made sense. And in this case, him, bringing tariffs up again with Mexico and Canada, he was able to get 10,000 troops from each country. So we've got an additional 10,000 Mexican troops on their side and Canadian troops on their side of the border to enforce illegal immigration, to be a deterrent, to slow the flow of drugs like fentanyl into our country. And all he had to do is basically shout from rooftops that this is a problem. We want it stopped, and if you're not going to stop it, there's going to be a consequence. And just like that, in the first month he was in office, not even a month at this point, he was able to get them to send troops to the border. So now it has caused some tension. Obviously, I know there just this last week there was booing at a Canadian U.S. hockey game, booing when the U.S. national anthem came on. And we did go on to win that game, by the way. But and they're going through some new elections there this year. So there's some political instability and talks of retaliation and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, we have a more secure border. I think I read it was somewhere in the 90%. I don't know if it was 93%, 97%, something like that. Reduced traffic at our borders. So just by
that happened right away too. I think that happened right away as soon as Trump got into office. It dried up.
Yeah, just him being in office was a deterrent for people wanting to try and cross. And now we've got an additional 20,000 troops. Again, not our troops, Canadian and Mexican troops. We're sending our troops as well on our side of the border. But look, he campaigned that on this, that he was going to secure the border, and that a lot of our problems come from the border. And he's taking it seriously and showing that here. So I think it's all good stuff. I know it causes some instability and some unknowns, and maybe some financial pain here and there on certain products and imports and things. But at the end of the day, he's doing what he said he was going to do, and he's getting the job done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this and the whole immigration issue for me has always been, look, and I know everybody's got their own views and perspective on things, and I don't discount that, or I wouldn't lessen their view or perspective one bit. But understand, the United States of America, we are literally the most welcoming nation in the world. What's always been crazy to me about the immigration issue is it's not as though we're banning immigration. We're banning illegal immigration.
Right.
And the fact that you have to say a ban on something illegal is crazy to me. It's illegal. You have to justify or rationalize something when it's illegal immigration. There is a legal way to immigrate, and then there is an illegal way, or migrate, I guess would be the proper word.
Yeah.
And there is an illegal and a legal way. If you're doing it the legal way, there's no issue whatsoever. But obviously, it's been a topic and will probably continue to be a topic. But it is nice to see, that yes, the illegal immigration issue kind of stopped, but also taking a more direct approach to stop the flow of fentanyl into this country, which has created a whole lot of mess. So, Thanks, Chris. And again, it's part of the Secret War on Cash. Tell people how they can get a copy of that report, The Secret War on Cash.
Yeah, give us a call at 1-800-289-2646. You can also text us at that number. Just let us know you'd like a complimentary copy or any of our other reports. If you go to the website and browse around, you'll see quite a few items. That address is www.swissamerica.com, Swiss America, all one word. And you can submit your information there, or obviously our phone number, our emails are on there. Feel free to reach out to us. We're big on education. We'll be happy to get you any materials you need, answer any questions you may have, and see if we can help.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you again here soon. If you have not subscribed to this podcast, please do so, as we'd love to stay in contact with you. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks, Chris, for all the information.
Yep. Take care.